Good day, everyone. We come to another episode of Prologue. As you know, Prologue is a podcast where we analyze and look at the back events which leads to the main story of the gentleman or the person that we are featuring today. Today we have with us the Honorable Senator of Canada, Mr. David Wells. Without going much into the history, I would like Mr. David Wells to speak about himself, and then we will delve a little bit deeper into the mind and what made the person he is today. Mr. Wells.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, Ganga. It's great to be here. It's a real honor and a real pleasure. So my background, I've been in the Senate for almost 13 years, the Senate of Canada. But during that time, I've also had the opportunity to operate a number of businesses. But I'm going to go back even further from that. My deeper background is in food development, primarily in the fishing industry. So in my part of Canada, in Newfoundland and Labrador, I used to run fish plants, fish processing factories, and then we would take that product, obviously, and go to world markets. That was my first introduction into the global marketplace, which really excited me, and I was very interested in that. So I spent a number of years in the fishing industry, about 25 years in the fishing industry. Later, I moved towards government and became Chief of Staff and Director of Policy to the Federal Minister of Fisheries in Canada. And I did that for a number of years, really enjoyed that aspect of legislation, government policy, and looking at ways that Canada can be a bigger player in the trade world, and specifically in seafood products. I stayed there for a few years as Chief of Staff and Director of Policy to the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans. And then I went back to Newfoundland, and I ran the Offshore Petroleum Board, which is the regulator for the offshore oil and gas industry in Canada. Huge industry, billions of dollars, all the major players, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Cenovus, Equinor, all the big players. So I ran that regulatory authority for a number of years. And then I was appointed to the Senate in 2013. So that's my path. During my time in the Senate, I sit on a number of committees that are important to me. One of them is the Audit and Oversight Committee. I like that administrative aspect of governance. And I also sit on the Energy Committee, which is a natural fit for me as well. One thing I do concentrate on in all of my roles is increasing trade, increasing awareness of what's available in products for Canadian importers and for Canadian exporters around the world. And that's what led me to ICTTM.
Wow. Speaking about ICTTM, I was just going to ask you about that. You have always been a champion for trade transparency, and I believe that's what led to ICTTM, which stands for International Center for Trade and Transparency. And you also have a data analysis model on AI called Adam FTD, which I think is taking the world by storm. And we are also a champion for that. We are pushing it towards our members, the other business that I have, Professional Logistics Network. So can you tell me more about ICTTM as well as Adam FTD, Senator?
So thanks for that. And it's a really interesting story. So the International Trade Council, which is a peak body chamber of chambers. So many of the global chambers of commerce, trading agencies within governments, and individuals who are in the trading sphere, they are members of the International Trade Council. And from time to time, they would have me speak at their conferences, which was a real pleasure because I like talking about global trade and even more so now with the questions of the increased tariffs, increased sanctions lists, global supply chain problems. So I really like that part of the business. 3 years ago this month, the ITC reached out to me and said, look, we have a vast trove of global trade data that people always ask for, but we have no organized way to present it to them. We have files, and many of them are electronic files, but they're not organized. They're not organized by product. They're not organized by territory. They're there, but they're not organized. So we banded together and formed the International Center for Trade Transparency and Monitoring, ICTTM, which you're familiar with.
Yes.
And we developed a platform called ADAM-FTD, Advanced Data Analytics and Modeling for Foreign Trade Data. So we built a platform that puts all this trade data, and we have about 80% of the global trade data on our platform and available to our subscribers. And so if you want to know, bicycles that are sent from India to the United States, you type in the HS code for bicycles, and you identify, where it's coming from and where it's going to, and we can give the full data and analysis of bicycles going from India to the United States in any time frame. You want it 1 month, you want it over the year, so you can see trend lines when their sales are higher, when the prices are higher, when the prices are lower. We can do all of that. So think about bicycles, but think about, for all the people watching your podcast, think about whatever product you're interested in buying, or maybe you manufacture that and you're interested in selling. Wouldn't it be great to know who's buying, who's selling, what the pricing is, because we have the pricing in many instances, what the trade route is to get it to market, all the logistics issues. That's what ADAM-FTD, that's the power of ADAM-FTD, and we overlay that. So we have the data, Ganga, but we overlay it with an AI layer to give an analysis as well. So you're not just having the data, you have the analysis, and that's the power of the tool.
That is revolutionary, and I have tried it myself, and I have seen that not only that, it also gives the labeling requirements, so many other aspects that so someone importing or exporting can't go wrong legally, and it's up to date, and that is something our members are using, and this is really, really good for the logistics industry and the supply chain overall. Senator, this brings me back to something like, how do you balance all this, like party, public pleasure, public pressure, personal conviction, sitting on so many board, and then doing this AI thing, which is kind of a new thing, and you are also into it. How do you keep yourself motivated all the time?
That's a great question, and it's something I don't struggle with it, but it's on my mind. Of course, we're a global company. We have offices in the Philippines. We have offices in Vietnam. Our CEO is based in Spain. We have people on our board from New York, San Francisco, Estonia. I'm from Newfoundland in Canada. So, we don't have an 8-hour day. We have a 24-hour day, and there's very often especially when we have board meetings or full group meetings of our senior leadership, it's for sure someone will be up at 3 a.m. on that call. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's one of my colleagues. But and being in the Senate, of course, is a very, very active and busy job. So you just try to balance. I do sit on other boards as well, and I'm very active in my community, and also the things that I do on behalf of Canada in the Senate. I do a lot of parliamentary diplomacy, which takes me around the world. I'm off to Vienna in a couple of weeks for security meetings. I didn't necessarily choose this life, but it fell into my lap, and I want to squeeze everything I can out of life, and this is part of it. So, you balance all those things.
Beautiful. I mean, I can just imagine spending sleepless nights yet staying fresh, and here you are giving us, I'm truly humbled. You're giving time for us to speak on this podcast. This is truly amazing. What do you think, what is the responsibility of today's leadership towards the younger generation which is coming up? How do you view that?
Whether we realize it or not, leaders are mentors, because we have people that see us acting all the time. Yeah. They see us in public, they see our social media, they see us, and so we become by default, not by design, but by default, we become their mentors. I had an email from, not from a close friend, but from someone who I knew. And he sent me an email last night and said, I see all the public service work you are doing, and I'd like to get involved in that. Can we meet? Can we have a Zoom call? Can we have a phone call? And that's the kind of, you don't realize that you're having an effect. Whenever you do anything public, and I do a lot of public things, including this important podcast, people see it, and and it's not my design to inspire, but sometimes from the actions that you do, from the public service that you have, from the professional and commercial service that you have, like I have with Adam FTD and ICTTM, sometimes that inspires people. Sometimes that helps people, whether it helps trade or helps people be service to their community. That's one of the benefits of being a public figure. And having a platform.
That's so true. And I know you are short on time, and I had promised you, or rather you have given me 15 minutes, so we are almost there. However, if I want to end this, I want you to have the last word. And with the last question that I have is, if there was one sentence, one word, or something, some pearls of wisdom you want to give somebody who wants to enter today's politics, whether the arena, whether it is in Canada or any other part of the world, what would that be? A book that has inspired you, or something, some person, some figure, or you yourself, you have something that you follow. What would be that you would say something inspiring for the leader?
Great question, Ganga. Great question. A lot of times I'll speak to university students, high school students about public policy, about civics, about service to community. And I always give the advice, whether they ask this question or not. I always end with saying, if you want to get involved in public service, and it can be politics or it can be leadership on associations or your anything in your community, the local football league, whatever. Become proficient at something. So when it comes time for people to speak on something, you are proficient and you can speak on it. And I also say, be comfortable speaking. It's a big fear for people to get in front of. It's a big fear for individuals to get in front of a group of people and talk about something. But if you're proficient, if you're an expert in that field, you can talk as comfortably as you would talk at your dinner table, because you have a comfort with the topic. It takes a while to get over that there are people looking at you and counting on you and listening to every word you say. But the only way to get used to that is to do it. I remember the first time I spoke publicly. It was a small group, 25 people. I was in my young 20s. I was nervous. My face was red. I was sweating. I stumbled out words, and it was not like I am now, But it wasn't my finest moment, but it was my most important moment, because I learned then that if I'm going to be proficient at speaking publicly, or if I'm going to be expert at a topic, I've got to get to work on it, and I've got to do it more. The only way to get used to speaking in front of crowds is to speak in front of crowds. That's what I'll end with, because you know what? Being able to speak in front of hundreds of people or thousands of people, which I've done, it takes practice. Some people are natural, but not many. It takes practice to overcome the fear, to overcome the anxiety, and to be ready. That's the advice I would give, because I lived it and it's been successful for me.
Thank you so much, Senator. Thank you for your time. And gentlemen, ladies, this was Prologue, brought to you by Professional Logistics Network, award-winning network. And thank you, Senator Wells, for your time. And it was really, really inspiring.
It was my pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.